Thanks for joining us today. My name is Howie Heckman. I'm one of the developers here at PTS. Today I will be walking you through our ClearStream product and how to get up and running pretty quickly with fixed RFID. And I also have the exciting announcement that our ClearStream 2.0 product has now been released. So that adds a lot of new features and functionality to the application that we're really excited about, and we're looking to get feedback from all of you as we walk through the different features here. But before I jump into the actual demonstration of the product, I just want to talk a little bit about, to the people that may be new to ClearStream, kind of a little bit about what the application is and what it does. ClearStream RFID is a powerful mapping tool for fixed RFID readers. So it allows you to quickly and easily hook up to fixed RFID readers and send the tag information that those readers are reading to any back-end database or Excel spreadsheet or text file. And it's done that. You do that in an easy drag-and-drop environment with no programming involved. So really, the application allows you to quickly search out on your network for different fixed readers. Any readers that are found on your network, you can then map back to, say, even a Microsoft Access database, SQL Server, Oracle, or anything like that, and really quickly get that tag information back to that pre-existing database system. So it could be something new that you're developing from scratch, so you're starting maybe a new database and you want to build on these fixed RFID readers, or it could be something, maybe a system you already have in place and you want to add fixed RFID to that system. So maybe you even have something like a mobile devices for barcode scanning or mobile RFID, and now you want to set up fixed RFID to that system. ClearStream RFID will allow you to do that. It hooks up to those readers, maps the tag information back to the databases, and then gives you all different flexibility in how those tags are getting sent to that database, maybe when the readers are reading, what triggers the readers to read, and things like that. And it's all in a very easy-to-use environment so that really anyone can hook up to these fixed RFID readers and add them onto a database or even an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. So today I'll be walking you through a little demonstration of how that works, show you actually how we can hook up to the readers, map them back to a database, and see everything in action. So I'll be going through that demonstration, and also at the end of the presentation today, we will go through our typical question and answer period. So if you guys have any questions as I go through this, feel free to type them into your question panel, and I will try to get to as many as possible at the end of the webinar. Okay? So before I jump into the demonstration, I'll talk a little bit about ClearStream RFID 2.0, which is now available. It has many new features. The biggest feature of all is the new readers that are supported. But there are also new options for scan intervals. There's increased performance in submitting to the database or back-end system that you're mapping these readers to, as well as new tag event options, so that with supported readers you can actually trigger tag information to be sent based on when a tag is inside or outside of a field of view of an antenna. So previously, anytime a tag went into range of an antenna, it was picked up and read by the reader, sent to your database. And then if it went out of range, you still had that, you captured the information when it picked up that tag, but with some supported readers, when it goes out of range, you'll also get that tag information. So you can kind of keep track of when a tag was in the field of view of an antenna. But the biggest feature of all is the new supported readers for ClearStream RFID 2.0. So it adds on, builds on top of the features that we have with that we supported with Motorola and the version 1.0 of the application. And now all of these different manufacturers that you see on your screen here, as well as any reader that supports LLRP, you can attach to ClearStream RFID 2.0 and map those readers to a pre-existing system. So you can see the manufacturers I have listed here, but again, anything that supports LLRP, you can map that reader to your pre-existing database system. So that's kind of the biggest feature that we're really excited about with ClearStream RFID 2.0, because it's going to open up a lot of different applications, many different readers. Even on within the same install, you can have multiple readers, different manufacturers hooked up to your database. So maybe in one area you might be running something like an Impinj reader or an Alien reader, as well as Motorola readers. In a different situation, those can all be hooked up to your back-end database system and be reading all at the same time. Okay. So with that, I'm going to jump into ClearStream 2.0, kind of show you how the application works, how you can hook up to these readers, how easily it's done, and then I'll show you it actually running, and you can see that tag information getting sent to the database that I've mapped to here. So I'm going to jump out of the presentation here. I'm going to open up ClearStream RFID 2.0. And this here is the home screen of the application, and this is what you'll be presented with after installation. Okay, so this is an unconfigured application, and I'll show you, I'll describe the screen here so you can understand how everything works. Basically, each reader that you hook up is going to be a source of your data here. So on this source tab, you're going to select the fixed RFID reader that you'd like to hook up to the destination, which is where the tag information is being sent. So you can see now it's unselected. I don't have anything configured. So the first thing I need to do is actually just select a fixed RFID reader. So to do that, I'm just going to go in my source side and select RFID from this list here. Now, they can be other things. You can send even like an ODBC database table to another ODBC database table at selected times. So you can move information that's, or data that's not related to the fixed RFID reader. But in most cases in ClearStream, the source of your data will be a fixed RFID reader. So to do that, you just select RFID from the type drop down there. Okay, when that happens, you'll have the configuration screen for a fixed RFID reader. And there's just a couple things you need to enter here. First is the reader type. So this can be either a generic LLRP reader, which will work for most readers, or you would select the specific manufacturer you're looking for. So you can see here Alien, Impinj, Intermec, Motorola, and ThingMagic. These are all listed on the screen here as available supported readers, and you would just go ahead and pick the reader that you'd like to hook up to from this list here. So the first one I'm going to do is go to Motorola and select a Motorola reader to hook up to our database table. Okay. So the next thing you need to do is actually give it a name, and the name is important because when the tags are being sent to your destination, the reader name is supplied with that tag information. So you not only do you know what tag was read, you know what reader read that tag. So that information is sent to the destination. So I'm going to change that in a second once I find out which Motorola reader I'm going to hook this one up to. The next field here is the IP address or the host name of the reader. So all of these readers that are out in, say, our offices here are hooked up on our network, and we just need to enter the IP address or the host name to find that reader on the network and then use that reader to start reading tags. So if you know the IP address or the host name, you can just enter it here. You can also use this little magnifying glass button. And if you use the magnifying glass button, it'll actually search across your network for fixed RFID readers. And I'll go ahead and start this now. I'll do this once for these. I do have the list of IP addresses I was going to hook up to. But this will go ahead and search across your network for any fixed RFID readers that are available and show you a list of them in the find results field here. So this can take a little time here as it looks across the network. But as it finds readers, it'll put them in the list here. You can review some of the information that it finds about those readers, so such things like the model of the reader, the IP address and host name, reader ID, and things like that. But as it finds those readers, it goes ahead and adds them to the list here. So you can see it found one here, 4.105. So again, you can see some of the information. So this one here is a Motorola FX9500 reader. I found another one here. This is a Motorola FX7400. So you can see it has that information. Here's the IP address. Here's another 7400. So we have a number of readers on our network here. But really, you would, I'll go ahead and hit cancel for now. Really, you would see all of the readers that you have available. And the reason we did this is sometimes if you just plug these readers in and they're set up for DHCP, they're going to get assigned an IP address, but you may not know what it is. So the find feature here really simplifies plug and play. You just plug these readers into your network, do the search, and then pick the one you want to use. Maybe it's only one, but if you have multiple readers on the network, you can look through what you have available and select that as your reader. So I'm going to go ahead for the first one and select the second FX7400, and you just pick it from the list there and then hit the select button. It'll connect to the reader. It'll put that information into the configuration form here, and now you can see I have a fully connected Motorola FX7400. Okay, so once you have a reader configured, the next thing you need to do is select where the tags that this reader picks up, where it's sending that information. So that's done on the destination side. So on the destination side, you have three options: ODBC, Excel, or a text file. So depending on what you pick here, this configuration screen will change a little bit. For the demo today, I'm going to go ahead and select ODBC. Once you select ODBC, this will give you the ODBC configuration screen, and this will, on the ODBC data source, this will be populated with all of the databases you have on the PC that you're running. So you can see I have a number of databases here. By default, ClearStream is installed with a sample access database. So for anyone that would like to trial the application, you can get up and running very quickly with the sample access database. And if you select that database, you'll see the tables that are available in that database. One of them is called the Rfid Tag List here. So this Rfid Tag List is already pre-configured. It's pre-installed with the application and has all of the fields of information that you would need to collect the different data from the fixed reader. So on the left-hand side here, you can see I have this Motorola FX7400, and now it has the fields of information that are collected by that reader. So you can see it has the tag ID, it has the antenna, because not only can you capture what reader the tag was read by, you can also capture what antenna the tag was read by. So on some of these readers, you can have 4 or 8 ports or 4 or 8 antennas. You can not only send the tag ID, the reader ID, but you can send the antenna information as well. So maybe you have one antenna over doorway 1 and another antenna over doorway 2. You would know which doorway that tag went through based on the antenna that had read that tag. You also have a peak RSSI. This is a signal strength of the tag, so kind of get an idea of how close the tag is to the reader. There are other variables that will affect that, as well as like tag type and things like that. You have a date timestamp, so you can capture exactly when that tag was read by the reader. The reader name, and again, that's configured here up above the fixed RFID here. You can change that. And then the tag event. Now, the tag event, that's what I briefly touched on before. That's whether or not the tag came into range or went out of range of the reader. So that could be useful in a case where you want to track maybe a tag when it comes to a location and then when it leaves that location. So the first time it comes to the location, it will be picked up. That tag will be sent to your destination. When it leaves and when it's out of range of that antenna, so when it left that location, you'll get another tag event, and that'll be sent to the destination as well. So you can see when that tag came into the antenna range and when it went out of the antenna range. Okay. So that's the sample database that we have provided. I'm actually going to use a SQL Server database for my setup today. So I'm going to go ahead and change the ODBC data source that I have from this list here, and I'm going to select this RFID SQL Server. Now I'll enter the login information for this SQL Server database. I can type this. Okay, and then you just hit login. It'll connect to a SQL Server database. In this case, I do have another RFID tag list. I pre-built this table to have a number of fields that will match up to what we have from the reader. I'm going to go ahead and change the mappings a little bit here. This is a primary key field. I don't want the reader to send data to the primary key field, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that on the right-hand side. Basically, when you're doing these field mappings, you just want to marry up the fields on the left to the fields on the right. So you can see here I have the tag ID that's going to the tag ID, antenna to antenna, the signal strength, and so on. Just kind of marry up those fields as you go along. Just to briefly touch on, you can, on the source side, for the fixed readers, you have options for source filtering. Source filtering allows you to filter maybe to tags with a certain prefix. Those are the only tags you want to read. Maybe signal strength. You want to filter out the weekly read tags. You can set up filtering here, so you're only getting the tags from the reader that you want sent to the destination. On the destination side, you can change how the tags are being posted to the destination. So by default, it's appending to the destination, and that means every time a tag is sent to the destination, it will just add a new record to that database table or to that Excel spreadsheet. But you can also do things like an update. An update will allow you to do something like update that tag in the database table if it already exists. So those are useful for a case if you want to keep track of a tag, maybe as it's going through a warehouse or through different portals. When that tag gets sent to the destination, it won't just be appended to it. It'll look for the tag in there and update it with the new information. So if maybe the first time it's read by this Motorola FX7400, which is over, which is in location A, maybe you have another reader in location B, and when it's picked up by location B, that location or that reader name field will be updated in the database. So you can keep track of that tag as it's moving throughout different locations. And on the destination side of your database, you would only see that tag ID once, and it'll have the most recent information that was sent from your readers out in the field. So it's updating that information when it gets to the database. For the demo today, I'm just going to go ahead and select append there. So every tag that's sent to the destination gets added. I'm going to go ahead and name this reader. I'm going to give it a name of Moto 7400, FX 7400, so that we know what reader picked up these tags. I'll change my process. This is kind of just for review. I'll do this Moto 1. I'm going to do a second Moto reader as well here. So, so right now we have one reader configured going to our destination. I'm going to go ahead and now add a second reader. So to do that, I'm just going to hit this plus button here. And now I have a new blank configuration for another reader. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to actually map another Moto reader for the second one. I'm going to select RFID again, select Motorola from our type. This one I'm going to map to its FX 9500. So I'm going to go ahead and name it that. I know the IP address, which I think I do, of this reader. So I'm going to go ahead and where did I put my list here? It is 105. Okay, so I'm going to just type in the IP address. Now this is another way of doing it. When you click out of the field, it'll go ahead and attempt to connect to the reader. If it successfully connects, you'll get a reader ID here. So that's how you know you entered a successful or correct IP address here. Okay, so I selected my FX 9500. I'm going to go ahead and map to the same database table here. I have to add in, enter the login information again, but I'll go ahead and enter that in, hit login. I'm going to select the same database table and do the same thing with the field mappings. Just marry them up one-to-one between the fields on the left to the fields on the right. Okay, and again on this one I'm doing an append as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and actually add a third process, and this time I'm going to select a different manufacturer. This time I'm going to do an impinge reader. So I'm going to go ahead and select impinge. I'm going to go to RFID again. I'll select impinge from the drop-down here. I'm going to call this one the impinge speedway. Okay, and the IP of this one is 4.131. Okay. Okay, you see I'll get a reader ID there because I successfully connected to this speedway reader. I'm now going to go ahead and select the same database table as well. I'm hooking all of these readers up to the same SQL Server database table. This is all configurable by you. You can do separate tables if you'd like. For each reader, you can configure this really any way that you want. You can have different one reader going to Excel, another reader going to Microsoft Access, and a third reader going to an Oracle database table. So I'll hit login there, go to Rfid Tag List. I'm going to marry up my field mappings. Now I'm also going to, on this one, I'm going to add the reader name because this reader, I don't have the tag event field. So I'm going to add a mapping to this to make sure the reader name is set to my destination field there as well. Okay, and the last reader I want to configure here is the, I have an intermec reader, so I'm going to go ahead and select that from our list. So I'll select RFID. I'll pick intermec from the drop-down. The intermec IP address is 4.115. Okay, so I'll go ahead and connect to that intermec reader. You can see I got another reader ID. Again, on the destination side, I'm going to select and log into my SQL Server database table. Okay, I'm selecting the Rfid Tag List, doing my field mappings. Okay, so now I have 4 readers, 2 Motorola readers, an impinge and intermec reader. They're all hooked up to my configuration here. At this point, I could go ahead and actually start and power these up and start reading tags to my destination. But I did want to do one more thing and touch on some of the advanced options you have for the different readers, because there are some new features in here for ClearStream 2.0. I'll go back to my first FX 7400 reader here, and I'm going to click on the advanced option. Now this is where you configure how the readers are reading, when they're reading, and different options for the reader itself and how that tag information is being picked up. By default, the scan mode here is set to continuous. And that means when you start this, start the readers up, the readers are really powered up and they're continually polling or looking for RFID tags. And every time a tag is read, it's sending it to the destination. But you do have different options. You can do timed interval reads. So maybe you only want to power the reader up every once in a while, power it up for some length of time, and then send that information to the database. So that's useful maybe for like a stock taking application. You know, you may not want to continually be polling for the items, but you may power it up for a minute or two a day, read all of the tag information and then send that to the database, and that'll be your most up-to-date stock of the items that you've read. New for 2.0, you can select a daily time sync here, and this allows you to turn it on for different days of the week as well as times that it's starting and stopping. So this is for maybe during business hours or something like that. You can power up the readers, have them running. You're not running them at times when there's not really any activity going on, and not time that you would want to track the tags as they're going in and out of the read range. So you can kind of configure when those readers are powered up. The last option here is the Gpi Trigger, and this one's good for if you only want to trigger the reader based on some input. Now, most of the readers have I/O ports, so you can hook up like buttons or light sensors or motion sensors or something like that. And if you have a motion sensor, you can hook that up to one of the GPI inputs on the reader, and then power up the reader at that point for some length of time. So maybe somebody walks through a doorway, that triggers the read, and for 10 seconds it's reading for some badge or something like that. You can configure that with a Gpi trigger. So again, you're not constantly using the reader. It's not constantly powered. It's not constantly searching for tags. For the demo today, I'm going to just put continuous here so you can see the activity as these readers power up. Some of the other options you have here for antennas, you can go ahead and add all of the antennas that you have on the reader. I'm going to configure one antenna for each of these readers. I'm going to call this one my FX7400 antenna 1. You can configure the read strength of the antennas. So if you wanted a closer read range, you can power down the antennas. This way, it's kind of more of a, within a couple inches or so, it would be reading the tags as opposed to, many feet. So you wouldn't be picking up all of the tags within some range. New for 2.0, you can also use specific tag sessions. Sessions on a tag have different properties for how long the tag will wait before it responds to the next inventory. So if you use something like a session 2 or a session 3, you can make sure that while that tag is in range of the antenna, it's not responding to the inventory constantly. It will only respond once and then respond again maybe when it comes back in range. You're not continually getting a read from that tag. On the Gpio tab here, this is where you configure the outputs. So you can configure things like lights or alarms being triggered. And you have a lot of different options for when those outputs will be triggered. So things like when a tag is read, you can power up a light, or maybe when a tag is sent to the destination that's not supposed to be sent to the destination, you can trigger an alarm. So if you wanted to make sure that some tag isn't going through some portal that it's not supposed to, you can power up some speaker or something to kind of give it an indication of what's going on. So that you can configure all that here. For today, I'm not going to configure any outputs, but just to note that you can configure those here. For these Motorola readers here, this device tab are device-specific options that are available for the different reader types. The Motorola readers here support these tag event reporting. So again, like I mentioned before, when you go into a range, you can get a tag event. When you go out of range, you can get a tag event. You can configure all of that here, and you can give those tag events a description. So by default, when a tag first comes into range of a reader, in this case, you can see it sends a tag event of new tag visible. And that, if you had the tag event field married up to your database table, you would get this string, this new tag visible, when the tag is read. If it goes out of range, you can report tag no longer visible. So that's how you can see in your database table what happened with that tag. Well, you can say, hey, okay, at 10 o'clock it became visible, and then at 10:05 it became not visible. So you know that it spent 5 minutes at that location. So you can kind of configure that here and change the description if you want to change the information that's going to the database. Okay, but that's all I really wanted to configure for this reader. I just wanted to give the antenna a name so you can see as the tags are read, that's the antenna information that's sent to the destination. So I'm going to do that for each one of the readers. I'm going to go into the advanced. I'm going to give each one just one antenna. I only have one antenna hooked up to these. So this is the FX9500 antenna 1. Okay, and then pinch, I'll go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to jump over to the antennas tab. Pinch antenna 1. And lastly, the intermech reader. I will go ahead and add an antenna to that one as well. Now these are optional. You can leave these these antenna lists blank. But if you want additional information, if you don't put anything here, the antenna will just say something like antenna 1 versus antenna 2, antenna 3. You won't have that customized data that's coming to your destination, so you can kind of configure that stuff here. Okay, so I just gave them all one antenna. They're all configured and ready to go here. I have my 4 readers, 2 motos, an impinge, and an intermec. If I wanted to, I can configure a whole bunch of additional readers that would, could be different manufacturers. I do have everything appending to my destination. The fields all mapped as I need them. And if I have everything configured correctly, I'm just going to go ahead and save my project here. So let's call this CS2. We'll go ahead and save this configuration. And now I'm going to jump over to the start-stop form. You'll see I have my 4 readers in the list here. They're all set. They're all not currently running. So you have this start button here, and basically all I need to do, actually, and I'll jump over to the data viewer. You can see on this data viewer form for each one of the readers, this is kind of just a viewer into the destination that you have selected. So you can see this is my RFID SQL Server tag list table. And right now it has no tags in it. It's just a blank table. It's empty. And you can, for each one of these readers, you could check each one of these tags. They're all tables. They're all pointing to the same one, so this is the same data. But if you selected a different reader up here and they were mapped to different things, you would see the data that that reader had read at a different destination. So I'm going to go ahead and back over to start and stop. And at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and power these readers up. And once you hit start, this will go through the list, connecting to the readers and putting them in an active state. And you'll see them all running on this list here. And as they read tags, if tags come into range, you'll see that the antennas or the readers power up down below here and start reading tag information. You'll see all of the activity that they're sending to the destination. One thing, it looks like my impinge reader may not have any tags there. One thing to note that's a little bit different than ClearStream 1.0, these tags, as they're powered up, will remain in this list here. And as activity happens, you'll see that activity detailed here and what's happening. Now, this is very quick in most cases because they're all reading the tags and sending that information almost immediately to the database. So I'm not sure the redraw speed you guys are seeing through the webinar. But this will show you all of the activity. Also above, you'll see the sync information, and you'll see these times are going out from the last sync or the last tag that was sent to the database. Okay, so I let this run for a little while here. At any point, you can go ahead and hit stop. All of those readers will disconnect from our list. You'll see there's nothing actively running. Everything is in the stopped state. Okay, and if I jump back over to the data viewer and hit refresh on this database table, you can see now in that couple minute or so that I was reading, I just read 1,110 tags. Now, many of these could be duplicates, and we do have hundreds of tags in the offices here, so they may not be that duplicated. But you can see I read 1,110 tags, all entered into the SQL Server database, and they all have the information of who read the tags. So you can see here that I read many tags here on this Intermec Antenna 1 reader, which I didn't give a name apparently. You can see the reader name for my Motorola FX9500 got entered here. If I scroll through this list, you can see all of these tags along with their date timestamps and when they were read. So I have here, you can see some 7400s. You can see the tag information, the antenna that they were read on. So the 7400 only had one antenna, and I gave it that name. So you can see it was read there. But you can see all of the tag information that's sent to that SQL database. Okay, and you can see before I started this, that table had 0 tags in it. And within those couple minutes, I read a couple thousand or so tags. And all that information is entered to the destination. Now, many of these could be, again, duplicated. I was just appending to this database table. If you want to keep track of a tag and only have one tag in your destination, you would go back and on the post type for the destination, you would set update existing, append if not found, or update existing. What that allows you to do is select your update field, and in almost all cases, it will be the tag ID. And that means every time this reader here sends a tag with its information to the destination, check in that destination first to see if there's a tag already in the destination. If it's in there, update it with the new information. So in this case, maybe it was read by this impinged Speedway reader. That tag with that information for the impinged reader will be entered into the database. If later on, if you have, say, in the intermec reader here, if you have the same configuration set for the tag ID, if that same tag is read now by the intermec reader, it will be updated in the database with that new information. And you'll see that instead of being actively read by the impinged reader, it was now read by the intermec reader, and you would have an idea of where that tag is based on the reader name. And in some cases, you may want to change, see, I didn't give this intermec reader here. You may want to change the reader name to something like location A, or maybe in the impinged case, location B. So something a little more readable and more quickly visible as to where that tag is located, because that information, again, is sent to the destination. One thing I did want to mention, if you install the ClearStream trial, if you don't actually configure anything on this configure form, you can immediately jump over to the start stop. And if you hit start, it will search out for a reader, or it will prompt you with that find readers dialog. So at that point, if you haven't configured anything, you can go ahead and search for the readers and configure it that way. So you can see how quickly I just set up 4 fixed RFID readers and sent them to my SQL Server database table here.